Welcome back. Chapter 9. Jared. 1 hour earlier. There was no sign of the ugly truck at the high school. It could be around back. Climbing out of my Hyundai, I run for the main entrance, my shoes slipping a little on the wet pavement. Dozens of people wearing gi and carrying umbrellas ran past me as they dodged the rain and headed out to their cars. The school hadn't changed since I graduated. Same color schemes, same posters on the walls, same rules posted by the office. They probably had the same food, same teachers, same trophies in the trophy case. The locker room probably smelled just as bad. Nothing changed. These were my glory days, if you could call them that. I walked to the gym, passing brown belts and blue belts and a couple of black belts. That was Mitch's goal. One more year and he'd be a black belt. At least Mitch had a goal. He had something to look forward to. The three outcasts had been friends for years, even after high school. What about the guys I played sports with? All the football teams and the basketball teams I had played on. They'd all gone to college or traveled or left the Butte. Few of them stayed in contact, even after promising they would text or call every week. After a while, they all moved on with their lives. Everyone had a life, but me. What did I have? Shirts. I had tons of shirts. I wonder what the world record is. If I ever moved out, I'd need a 2-bedroom at least. I'd live in the living room, and the bedrooms would be my closets. Some bodybuilder sat at one of the tables, flipping through pages on a clipboard, making marks on another sheet of paper. Z? Yes, Sensei Robert. A teen wearing a white gi and a yellow belt ran up. Check the other tables. I'm missing some of the judges' papers. Sensei Robert leaned back in his chair and stretched. He looked up and saw me. Name's Robert, Sensei in charge. What can I do for you? He offered his hand. I took the hand. Jared, I'm Mitch's friend. He around? You should be proud of that boy. Took 3rd in the kata exposition, and he's only a green belt. I'm going to make the black belt sweat for that. Sensei held up his phone, swiped through a couple of pictures, until it stopped on Mitch. You should see what he's done with the backyard, I said. He's turned it into his own private dojo. Perfection takes practice. I'll display the trophy at the dojo for a couple of months. Let him show off a bit. Sensei Robert chuckled and held out his phone. Leaping in midair, Mitch held a kicking pose he'd practiced 100 times in the backyard. Sensei swiped again and displayed Mitch standing at the trophy table getting the award with the dumbest look on his face, like they had given it to the wrong guy. Another swipe, and there he was, showing off his front flip. Sensei swiped again, and some guys were stuffing cake in Mitch's mouth. Cake? You know he's diabetic, right? All day exercising and cake? I pulled out my phone. Yeah, I know. I yelled when I found out what they did, Sensei said. They didn't think one piece would hurt. So that's probably why his glucose went out of control. He took off about 10 minutes ago and said he'd be back. If I give you my number, would you send me the pics? I said, sure. You want the video too? He's performing one of the katas. Sure. We exchanged numbers. Did he say where he'd go? Home, Sensei Robert said. I tried Mitch again. Nothing. He must have turned his phone off for the tournament. I called my home and Mom picked up on the 3rd ring. Hello, she said in her smoker's voice. Hey Mom, Mitch there? She muted the television. I haven't seen or heard from him. He's at the tournament today. Said he'd be back late. He's having diabetes issues. Thought he might head home because we have one of his vials, I said. Have you tried calling? He's not answering his phone. I stared at the gym floor, trying to count the mats. Phone's probably buried in his backpack. If it's like your room, it's lost forever, Mom said. Funny. Just have him call me. I walked back over to Sensei Robert. Did Mitch say which home? He said his folks' place was a few blocks away. Is that a problem? Sensei set the clipboard down. If you met his parents, you'd know why he made his practice area at my place. I shoved my phone back into my pocket. I'll go see if he's there. And I hope Bailey is not. I ran back to my car, pulled into the street, and drove the few blocks to Mitch's house. Why would he even go back here? The rain plastered my windshield, making it hard to see. I turned the wipers to full, slowed, and plowed through the water on the road. I turned onto Mitch's street, unable to go further. 10 or 12 people had gathered in the road, blocking traffic. Some had phones out. One man yelled into his phone, "You need to get here quick. Lassiter's going to kill somebody this time." All the security lights around the monster house were lit, with Bailey shouting inside. A huge crash sounded, like a dozen windows breaking at once. "Get out of my house!" screaming, but only from Bailey. I climbed out of my car, forgetting to close it, and ran to the spectators. My shoes slipped in a puddle, and I fell sideways. My pants tore at the knee, and I wrenched my ankle. Damn shoes. I pulled them off and ran in my stocking feet, but I was too slow. The horror was already happening. Mitch staggered out of the house in nothing but a t-shirt and briefs and a baseball cap. His cheek bled, and so were his hands and feet. One bloody hand clutched his ribs as he limped out. Bailey screamed something I couldn't understand. The G-Skyer hurtled out the door, the diabetic backpack next, spilling Mitch's mala bead bracelets and clothes and protein bars and his wallet across the drive. It happened fast. Mitch lunged for something on the ground. Bailey hit him in the eye, knocking Mitch backwards into the ground. Shaking, Mitch got up and ran for the truck. And then the light caught his hat. Pride, in rainbow letters. Bailey came back out of the house with a baseball bat. I froze. So did everybody else on the road. The baseball bat hit the ground. Something splintered. Mitch's phone. I tried to push through the people. There had to be 30 by now. Mitch looked into the crowd, his lips sucked in, his eyes wide, hysterical. He staggered for his truck. Then his eyes found mine. Mitch paused, eyes quivering. He ran bloody fingers through his hair. Mitch looked at me, his face reddening, wiped his face and said, "I'm sorry," as Bailey ran up behind him, raising the bat. The rain came down hard, lightning flared, immediately followed by thunder. Bailey swung the bat. Mitch blocked with his left arm. The bat went flying and banged into the garage door. "Mitch!" I yelled. Somebody grabbed my shoulder. "Let him get out of there before his dad kills him." I called the police. Bailey didn't move. When he did, he ran back for the bat and looked around. Mitch ran to his truck, holding his arm, and peeled out. But not fast enough. Bailey swung the bat and hit the truck. "Mitch, wait!" I ran, but I couldn't keep up with the truck. I ran back to the ever-growing crowd. Maybe an extra dozen had joined. I ran to the man who held me back. "What happened?" "I was on the porch when Lassiter drove up. He saw the truck and—" A crash sounded by the Lassiter driveway. Bailey had gathered the chess set, the gi, the backpack, the diabetic kit, the mala beads, garbage bags of clothes, and the G-Skyer into a pile under the garage awning and ran back into the house. He came out again holding 3 little vials and Mitch's journal in one arm and a bottle of lighter fluid in the other. "Bailey, stop it!" I screamed. Thunder shook the sky, followed by red and blue flashes. Bailey dumped the journal and each insulin bottle slowly onto the pile. He poured lighter fluid on it, flicked a lighter, and lit the flame. The lighter fluid ignited. In seconds, fire covered the whole pile. He was burning everything Mitch owned. I ran up the driveway. "What are you doing? That's his insulin." Bailey turned. "Another gay pervert. You must be the slut he's sleeping with. You destroyed this family as much as he did." "You're insane." I ran to the fire and kicked it. Mitch's journal flew out. Bailey raised the bat and ran at me. "What's wrong with you?" I grabbed the journal and ran backwards to the road. Bailey marched after me, bat held like he wanted to hit a home run. I now knew what Donna meant when she said Bailey had moods, and her telling him she wanted a divorce had triggered a bad one. This was what Mitch had been living with for all these years, and the reason he slept on our couch so much, and why he became the emotionless vampire. Red and blue lights strobed in the darkness. The crowd had grown even more. Bailey swung at me, missing by a foot. "Damn you!" "Get away from me," I said, running backwards, but Bailey ran towards me. Then he stopped and backed up. I ran into somebody who grabbed my shoulders. "You okay, coffee guy?" It was the officer from the other day. "Officer Lopez, he's burning Mitch's insulin." Officer Lopez nodded. "Where's Mitch?" 2 other officers had flashlights out, their hands on their guns, and proceeded up the drive. One said, "Mr. Lassiter, drop the bat." "I had every right," Bailey said. "Drop the bat and get on your knees." "They've got this, Officer Lopez said. "Tell me where Mitch is." "I don't know. He drove off after his dad hit him with that goddamn baseball bat." "Calm down. Is Mitch okay?" Officer Lopez led me back to one of the police cars and opened the rear door. He was holding his arm funny, and his face looked wrong, and he had blood everywhere. "I need you to wait in the car. Contact Mitch. Tell him we can help. We'll handle Mr. Lassiter." "Bailey destroyed Mitch's phone," I said. The look that flashed across Officer Lopez's face was one of pure disgust before he composed his face to show no emotion. "Wait here. Maybe he'll find a way to call you." Officer Lopez spoke into his walkie-talkies as I reached the car. "You don't understand," Bailey screamed. "He was sitting at my table, in my house. I have every right to kick that." "Put the bat down, now." I climbed in Officer Lopez's back seat, leaving the door open and doing my best to ignore the drama. Everything was wet anyway. From my angle, I couldn't see what the police were doing. I only heard shouting. My shoes had landed nearby in the gutter, scuffed and soggy. I set the journal down, ran to get them, and saw one of the ladies who had taken videos. A fire truck pulled to the end of the drive. The fireman got out, unhitching some very large fire extinguishers, and ran up to the garage. I walked up to the man I talked to earlier. "If I give you my number, would you send me the video?" It took only a minute, and I went back to the police car and collapsed. My phone rang with an unfamiliar number. It had to be him. "Mitch," I said. A long pause, and a short breath. I'm sorry. It wasn't supposed to be like this." "Thank God. Talk to me, Mitch. Stop crying and tell me where you are." A soft sob escaped the phone. "Mitch, just talk." This was bad. The guy who showed no emotion was hysterical. Another sob, maybe a sniffle. "Mitch, just talk, please." I'm sorry," he whispered. Then another long pause. "Goodbye." The connection died. I hit redial immediately, but no answer. And redial again, and again. Mitch had said goodbye. He wouldn't leave town. But his dad had chased him away. Mitch's blood sugar must be screwing up his mind. I opened the journal to Mitch's last entry and grew cold. Officer Lopez knocked on the window, scowling. "Was that Mitch? Does he need a medical assistance?" "He was crying and wouldn't talk, and when he did, he said goodbye and ended the call," I said. Officer Lopez's face softened a little. "Number?" I showed him the caller ID, and he read the number into his walkie-talkie. "I hate cases like this," he said. "It's the third time we've been here this week, and almost every time Lassiter hits somebody. How about you? Are you okay?" "I'm fine. He missed me." I turned the journal around. "I think it's weirder. This is Mitch's diabetic journal. He logs everything in it, and because of the tournament, he's forgotten his checks and insulin. Mitch has something like panic attacks when his diabetic schedule is even a little different, and he's spiked. I don't know what that means, but last time he panicked." I told Officer Lopez about the conversation with Mitch's sensei. "What's his glucose?" "It says 350. Officer Lopez pinched the bridge of his nose. "Stay here. Hopefully he'll call again, and make sure you tell him we will send help." I sent a text to Michaela and Josh with only one word, "emergency," and then I sent the video.